When you're writing for Mirrors, how are you able to dissect yourself from the other projects that you're a part of? How do you dissect the ideas, the creativity, the energy, etc.?
Well, you know, I don't. I kind of feel like I do what I do and he does what he does, and that creates the band. You know what I mean?
Nice.
It's not like I sit down and I'm like, I'm going to write a song for this project. I just write a song. And what he does makes it that. You know, what Mike adds to Corrections House makes it Corrections House. You
So
know what I mean?
basically, it's the old school element of keeping it real and organic.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and every person brings something to the table. You know, it's not like I sit down and I'm like, hey, Scott, play this. You know, I'm like, this is what I have. And then he's like, this is what I have. And then we marry the two together and this is what we get.
And that's why it probably sounds so fresh and still very captivating and enticing, because there's no pressure whatsoever, creative.
Right. And the thing is like with Corrections House and with Mirrors, there was no set anything. Like we didn't say, hey, let's form a band that sounds like this.
Right.
We were basically like, hey, let's form a band. And then it just kind of went from there, you know what I mean? Which is, I think, the way it should be. You know,
Keeping it the fun element.
Well, not only that, it's just like there's no like boundaries, there's no guidelines, there's no like nothing set, you know, like, oh, well, we have to sound like this. It's like, hey, let's start a band. Okay, you do something. All right, cool, I'll do this. Okay, cool. And then this is what it becomes, you know.
All the walls are breaking down.
We never talked about what it's going to sound like at all, not once. Not once did any member be like, hey, let's do something like this. It just never happened. Conversation never came up, you know. It was just like, let's start a band.
And the beauty of it is for that element of the audience that is barely discovering you because of the bigger bands, this opens up their mind to different ventures of different music.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is what it's supposed to be in the first place.
Right, right.
You mentioned the record. When will it be out again?
We're looking at September right now.
Any titles?
We're still working on that too. Yeah.
So it's still in the creative phase.
Yeah, yes. It's like the music's done, everything's done, but we're working, you know. It's like we write the stuff and then we're like, okay, you know, this is what it's called.
How are you able to capture that energy that I just saw on the stage into a recording environment in a studio?
Well, it's a different animal.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? The recording...
Sterile.
Well, no, I mean, the way the songs come out is a different animal. You know, like the idea is like, well, if you want this type of vibe, you listen to the record. If you want this type of vibe, you go to the show. You know what I mean? It's like, to me, they're two different things and they should be treated as so. You know, it's like there's the recording side and then there's the live side, you know? And
Well put.
yeah, I mean, every time I produce a band, I tell them the same thing. It's like, you know, get the record to sound like what you want and then do it live. You know what I mean? They're two totally different things.
Mirrors for Psychic Warfare. Again, two artists that have a long record of experimentation and keeping it real with integrity. Why you should see this duo perform? Because it really transcends the listener into a whole new realm of a subconscious of creativity and opening your mind into a whole other dimension where nothing is scripted, nothing is so-called, what I like to say, like staged.
Right.
It's just real boundaries, interdimensions opening up by these two gentlemen who have a history of doing that with all their other projects. On tour now. Mm-hmm. Record will be out soon. What label?
Neurot.
Of course. Pick up the 2016 release, see them on tour, and I'm assuming you'll be back on the road once the record's released.
Yeah,
right?
we're going to do, as soon as the record's out, we're doing Europe, and then we're doing a full U.S. again. So fall, winter of 2018.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you.
Thank you for putting up with me. I haven't had coffee in about 4 hours. We're out.